For the first time, U.S. President Joe Biden has urged Israel to significantly de-escalate its offensive in Gaza by the end of today. But Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, he is not backing down, saying the offensive will continue until its objectives are achieved.
Israeli tanks again fire on targets in the Gaza Strip. Israel's military says the attacks are aimed at facilities belonging to Hamas and Islamic Jihad. In Tel Aviv, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu provided information on targets that had already been hit. He said the attacks would continue. Israel would either beat Hamas or deter them.
I have to say, we don't rule out anything. We hope we can restore quiet. We hope we can restore it quickly. I want to say that we're doing that while doing our utmost to avoid civilian casualties.
The Israeli army shelled the Gaza Strip on Tuesday night, targeting Hamas's tunnel systems in southern Gaza. They said they took aim at some 50 targets. Images of destruction on the 10th day of the military conflict. The local health ministry reported 6 casualties with 8 people injured. While international diplomats strive for a ceasefire, in the West Bank, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas called for an immediate stop to the fighting. The attacks and destruction in Gaza are Israeli occupation-led state terrorism, a war crime that is punishable by international law. An end to fighting in the Middle East still seems a long way off.
All right, for more now, we want to go to our correspondent, Dana Regev in Tel Aviv. Good evening to you, Dana. Let's start with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He says he doesn't rule out reoccupying Gaza. What would that mean?
Well, Brent, it wouldn't be unreasonable to assume that more than an imminent threat, this is somewhat of a wink towards Hamas and Islamic Jihad leaders. The last thing Netanyahu and the Israeli military need now is actually a ground operation or reoccupying the Gaza Strip. In fact, no Israeli soldier has set foot into the Gaza Strip since 2005, in what has later become known as the Gaza disengagement. So I would assume that this is more of a hint or an implication that if so-called dragged into such reaction, Israel is indeed able to reoccupy the Strip. However, it is very unlikely that Netanyahu or the IDF, the Israeli military, would see this as their goal or aspiration.
U.S. President Joe Biden told Netanyahu that he expects to see de-escalation with Hamas by the end of today. That is not happening. What does that tell us then about U.S. influence on Israel?
Right. Well, so the United States is most definitely Israel's strongest ally. So that is definitely not a country that Israel wants to alienate. However, the Biden administration is also using terminology that we have not seen before in Israel. Biden and Netanyahu both had 4 talks in the past week, and this is the first time where Biden does not offer his support, does not declaringly say that Israel has the right to defend itself, but in fact says quite loud and clear, this is your responsibility, Netanyahu, to de-escalate the situation, which also tells us whom Joe Biden believes has the authority and the power to bring about that ceasefire, and he is definitely moving it to Netanyahu's hands.
And what about the Europeans? Germany's Foreign Minister Heiko Maas, he'll be traveling to the Middle East to hold talks. Could his visit help move things towards a ceasefire?
Right, Brent. So we are expecting here in Israel visits of more than just Heiko Maas. Other foreign ministers from the EU are expected to arrive Thursday. And indeed, more than it might bring about the ceasefire, this is potentially a sign that a ceasefire is approaching, is in the horizon. What we know is that Israel's foreign minister, Gabi Ashkenazi, he sees this visit, or he invited the foreign ministers from the EU in order to, and I quote, show support and solidarity with Israel's target, with Israel's goal of fighting and deterring Hamas. However, from the European side, Heiko Maas, Germany's foreign minister, will also meet Palestinian prime minister, and hopefully to all sides this will help to speed up the ceasefire that is already on the horizon, also with the involvement of some sources in Egypt.
Okay, our DW correspondent Dana Regev with the latest on the situation between Israel and the Palestinians tonight. Dana, thank you.